Hi, I'm Romy Hawatt. I'm a Lebanese Australian born in Australia. I'm an entrepreneur and have aviation and other business interests in different parts of the world. I'm here to do an interview with Ricardo and looking very much forward to it. See you soon.
من جنوب شبه جزيرة البلقان، من الجبل الأسود مونتينيغرو، من البحر الأدرياتيكي. مساء الخير أصدقائي المشاهدين. رومي حواط، مساء الخير. بيسعدني أني حاورك أنت ضيفي اليوم في الحلقة الأخيرة قبل شهر رمضان. يقال أن مونتينيغرو عندها سحر خاص على زوارها. إلى أي درجة هذا الكلام صحيح؟ They say that Montenegro has a certain magic on the visitors. How true is that?
Montenegro is very much an undiscovered treasure. It's a very tiny country in the Balkans, surrounded by many other significant countries. Serbia to the east, Bosnia to the northeast, Croatia to the north, Albania to the south, and Kosovo to the southeast. And of course you have Italy, only 135 kilometres across the Adriatic Sea. But Montenegro is largely unknown to many people in that it was absorbed into the greater Yugoslavia, and only since 2006, since it reasserted its independence, has now come into its own. The place is magical in many ways because of the locality and proximity of the sea to the mountains. You have quite a dramatic geography in this location with some amazing landmarks, including the world's second largest canyon next to the Grand Canyon, the largest lake in Europe, the second largest virgin forests in Europe, and a very clean, organic and green environment.
You know, the interview tonight is going to be a trip within Montenegro. We're going to sail and we're going to discover our own way, of course, this beautiful zone and this beautiful area. This zone that you've discovered in the year 1979. Almost 40 years ago. But first of all, before we kick off this interview in the proper way, there are some bits and pieces, some small questions I'd like to raise with you, and I'd like you to answer to them in a very brief way. Across the years and along the years, we start resembling to the place or to the town where we live. You've been spending much time in Montenegro. How much do you look like Montenegro?
I think it's more how much does Montenegro look like me, because I'm kind of representative of the new Montenegro. Montenegro came out of a tumultuous history of the past under a number of conquests from the Phoenicians, the Turks, and then of course, you know, during the Yugoslav period, during the Balkans transition into the war and then out again. And Montenegro is in a transition through to Europe. It holds its cultural values, it holds its language and the like, but it's moving more towards a more European style of existence and positioning for the future. So
you tend to...
I look forward, not backwards.
You tend to think for the others, you tend to move for the others, and you tend to act for the others. You believe in dynamics, you believe in a positive energy. You say and you repeat that we own nothing, everything's borrowed. We have to give back everything we have. You believe in this continuity between you and the other.
Yes, absolutely. I believe everything is transitory and everything that we have will one day be given. We own nothing, we only borrow or lend for a time. And it's kind of a test for all of us to see, you know, how we deal with that responsibility of success, and especially in the attainment of a voice or material things or presence of some sort that can influence others. All of these things, with all of those things comes a responsibility. And I sincerely believe in dealing with that responsibility in a responsible manner.
حتى لو ما كان في سبب آخر أصدقائي المشاهدين للابتسامة، ابتسموا من أجل نفسكم، من أجل حالكم من ابتسامته قدامي نبدأ بالتقاط إشارات وذبذبات إيجابية مكانته من النجاح. فاصل وننطلق في هذا المشوار وفي عمق البحر الأدرياتيكي. ابقوا معنا أصدقائي المشاهدين.
Tourism in Montenegro is growing rapidly. It's been a destination in the former Yugoslavia, is well known to a lot of European tourists, certainly well known to the British in the past, and visitors are coming to Montenegro from all around the world. And we're promoting the destination in the Middle East through Fly Dubai and Fly Dubai Holidays, and we're expecting to see significant numbers this year. So Porto Montenegro is probably the prime tourist destination in Montenegro at the moment, but inland is also absolutely stunning. As Romy will have told you, there are amazing things to see and experience inland, Tara Canyon, and increasingly are making it a place to combine leisure and business in a relaxed environment, an elegant setting, fantastic amenities, great shopping, fabulous food, which we're expanding at the moment. But it's still got a very village atmosphere, and people interact and are friends as well as visitors for us.
على متن يخت الريانا ننطلق ونبحر الليلة في هذا الحوار المختلف مع ضيفي المختلف رومي حواط. ابتسامتك حقيقية. إلى أي درجة هذه الابتسامة ساعدتك باجتياز الحواجز؟
I believe you get out of life what you put in. Positive things out. Negative things out. Hard work in, and you get the benefit out. And the same goes with personality and a smile. I mean, it's as simple as that. A smile is a very simple gift to give people, and it radiates positive energy. And I believe in positive energy. I believe in giving out positive energy and receiving positive energy. And it can start with something as simple as a smile.
Originally Lebanese, you were born in Australia. You love Montenegro. You travel all over the world. You don't believe in artificial boundaries. However, you do believe in global citizenship. Are you a citizen of the world?
I believe that I am. I left Australia with a very clear intent, and that intent was to become a citizen of the world, or a citizen of the world. I believed the entire world was my backyard, and I think it should be everybody's backyard. It's a very wide, wonderful opportunity out there for everybody.
How do you define identity?
I think identity is a combination of things, actually. I think it's, cultural, it's where you were born, it's religious, it's part demographic, geographical, and it's a combination of those things impacting on the way that you think.
I've been to Sydney in the year 1996 or 1995, so almost 22, 23 years ago, and I have known many Lebanese living over there, and I felt to what extent Lebanon is predominant in their daily life. Lebanon with its traditions, or its lifestyles, the way people dress, the way people eat, the way people socialize, the way people talk, their accent. For instance, when I knew about you and when we've met, I thought that your name was Rami, and with the northern accent in Lebanon, it would eventually become Romy. But your name is Romy and not Rami. Anyhow, Lebanese over there were nurtured and fed with the love of Lebanon, even from distance. What about you? Did your mom, did your dad feed you with that love? What does Lebanon mean to you?
Lebanon, I was always curious of Lebanon growing up. My father passed away when I was quite young, but he was a major influence in terms of his love for Lebanon. Literally till the day that he died, he was dreaming about going back to Lebanon. Mm-hmm. But being born in another country, you cannot but help become a type of fence dweller. You're sitting and living between two worlds. We didn't have any formal Arabic education. My parents migrated out to Australia not long after the Second World War, so they were some of the very early migrants into Australia. and there weren't many Lebanese around us, only a handful of families to impact on that cultural element. So it predominantly came from immediate family. These days there are many, you have schools, churches, mosques, predominantly dedicated to Lebanese communities.
You were 7 children.
Yes.
You got 6 siblings.
Yeah.
You lost a sister a few years ago.
Yes, yeah.
She had cancer, leukemia,
Yes,
and you lost her.
Yes.
God bless her soul.
Allah yarham, yeah.
Allah yarhamah, of course. What did your father do for a living? Was he well settled? Was he well off?
No, my father came from a very poor family in Tripoli, and had a fascination with Australia. He migrated to Australia with a dream of a better place. He'd had exposure to the soldiers after the First World War that settled in Lebanon, the British and Australian soldiers that were there after the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. And he'd heard many stories about Australia, and his dream was to migrate to this better place that was Australia. But unfortunately he was poor, he struggled. He was a tailor by profession, but attempted many different businesses. He was a traveling merchant for a period of time.
So
But
he left Lebanon with
migrant
nothing.
story.
He left Lebanon with nothing.
Nothing.
The only thing he took with him was a dream,
Yes, correct.
a passion,
Yes, correct.
and maybe a possibility of making it. And he made 7 children, which is not easy.
No. Oh, it's pretty easy. It was easy for him, apparently.
You know, I'm recalling one of my previous guests, Tom Barak. I recall Tom telling me that his grandfather left Zahli on a ship. It was a 3rd class category. And the moment he went back to Lebanon and discovered the land of his ancestors, it was on a private jet. And when I'm thinking about you, and definitely the public is going to understand why I'm pointing out at that, is also you came back to Lebanon in your private jet. So there are some similarities with those Lebanese whose parents or whose ancestors leave with nothing, and when they decide to go back and to discover their hometown, they come back with all the luxury after having made it. And you made it, Romy Hawatt. What do you own today in Lebanon or in Australia?
Well, I still have real estate in Australia. I still have family in Australia. My mother lives in Sydney, in fact, but visits Lebanon very regularly, even though she's 88 years old now. But she's still quite active, and loves to travel back to Lebanon. She absolutely loves it there.
Long life, Mrs. Hawatt. Of course, she's watching us tonight.
Inshallah. Yeah. So I have a lot of investments in Australia. I have real estate investments, quite prime real estate investments in colleges and motels and the like. But I also have an aviation business, but the aviation business is global, where we train pilots, and I have 2 bases in Australia, on the Gold Coast and on the Sunshine Coast.
What about Lebanon?
No, nothing in Lebanon.
Nothing in Lebanon.
Unfortunately, no.
Romy Hawatt, when your life kicked off, you had practically nothing. What was the ceiling of your dreams?
I wanted to trade internationally. I was always fascinated by the movement of goods and services around the world. I wanted to be a global citizen. I wanted the whole world as my backyard. And as I jokingly tell everybody, I badly needed a sports car. And so they were the driving motivations for success in the early days, yeah.
Did you ever believe or imagine that you would eventually own one of those days, such a beautiful yacht, for instance?
I believe in positive visualization. And everything that I do and everything that I have and everything that I've accomplished, I have visualized. It's setting a mark and moving towards that mark in a positive, consistent way. Not being afraid of hard work, dedicating the time and the energy in absolutely the right way. But I have to add that I've never been focused on money. Money comes as a consequence of getting it right. I believe in pursuing a good idea, a solution, a passion, and if that is consistent with what is needed, if your vision is right, then money will come as a representation of that success.
Romy, the Hawatt family is rooted in Byblos, in Jebel. What do you know about Jebel?
Well, I know it's one of the oldest ports, if not the oldest port in the world. I know it was a place where the Phoenicians sailed, circumnavigated the world and brought a lot of the world's treasures back to it was Phoenicia at the time. I know that King Solomon commissioned the Phoenicians to bring those world treasures to him, and those voyages took place from Tyre and from Byblos, or from Jbel, what is now known as Byblos. I know the name Byblos is a Greek word to refer to the people that used to trade in paper.
And you know that Byblos is listed on the cultural heritage list of the UNESCO,
Yes, I do.
such as 2 small towns here in Montenegro. Byblos is on the sea, on the Mediterranean Sea, and we happen to be here on the Adriatic Sea. How do you describe this relation with the water?
Well, you know, I only kind of really discovered the water later in life because I've always been attracted to the air. You know, flying, aviation has always been my thing. And to be quite honest, in the early days, I used to get terribly seasick. It wasn't until later life that I really started to discover the beauty of the ocean and being able to travel in the ocean. I guess that takes on a little bit of my forefathers' heritage. You know, a lot of this coastline up and down the Adriatic, a lot of these towns were in fact discovered and became trading ports that were originally discovered by the Phoenicians. A lot of the people here will talk about it as being Venetian, as in from Venice, but what they forget is that Venice was a very famous Phoenician port and even bears the name Venice, Phenice. And they attribute the trading and the like to the Venetians, but actually it was the Phoenicians that opened up the original trade routes up and down this particular area. So a lot of these towns actually owe some of their history to the Phoenician sailors.
You look like somebody who always conquers and who always wins at the end of a battle.
I see the ocean as a place of awe and beauty. You know, I guess there is, of course, that romantic side. I don't see it for its romance. I see it for a whole bunch of other things. I'm
But
struck
despite
by
everything you're saying, I strongly believe you are a romantic person.
Thank you.
You play music, you have a guitar, you sing very well, you do hiking, you appreciate nature, you do sailing, and we cannot have and pursue such passions unless we are romantic.
Well, yes, I guess that's one definition.
This is what all the ladies I've met who know you say.
Oh, really? I'd like to meet them.
Romy Hawatt, your investments are numerous. There are so many. What was the first investment or the first deal you made, and throughout which everything started, and what was before became history?
Well, I think, you know, people talk about becoming an overnight success, but what they don't see is the blood, sweat and tears and the hard work for the 20 years that preceded the overnight success.
Yeah, but many people also sweat and work a lot and are workaholic and they reach nowhere. They remain where they are. You made it. You set some objectives, you set some goals, and you started achieving one goal after the other. What was the first deal you made?
The first deal, well, I started trading. I wanted to trade internationally, so importing and exporting. And I did and tried many different things, many different products and services in things like foodstuffs, in industrial goods, in various consumer goods.
You had the capital?
The capital started very, very simply. I mean, I can give you
How much was it?
Several $100s. And, you know, just compounding, you know, the success of, you know, winning on small transactions.
Were you living with a family at that time?
Yes, I was. Well, I initially was living with the family, but I moved out not long after leaving high school because I felt that in order to realize my competitive advantage, I needed to get out and do it on my own. For all the love in the world that my family had for me, I felt that if I stayed at home, they would suffocate me. And I needed to get out there and really make my mark on the world. So I was very single-minded, very definite in what I wanted to accomplish.
We're going to pursue your journey. One last question before we stop with the break. A lot of young people are watching us tonight and they are misled at a point of time. They need to leave the house or the family. They don't have the means to do it. They need this break. They need this distance-free zone for them to be able to see how the world looks like, and they can do it. Some of them are afraid to go onward, and some of them don't have the means to make a step and go forward. What would be the first advice you'd like to give them?
The catchword you've just used is afraid. Fear drives too many people. People will do more to avoid pain than they will do to seek pleasure, generally. And our parents, in their fear for us, huddle us too close together and find it very difficult to let go, or very difficult to push their birds out of the nest. I say that you need to jump. You need to be very single-minded. You need to work out exactly what it is, your talents are, what your success factors are, what your competitive advantage possibly is. You won't realize this fully until later life, but you have some sense as what stirs within you. And then you need to make that move. You need to actually break away from the family. Maintain the relationships, by all means, no love lost, but you need to get out there and do it on your own because you will be suffocated otherwise.
قرر ومضى، وعند كل مفترق طريق كان عم بيردد I've hit the nail on the head. فاصل ونواصل. So Romy, this is your baby?
This is
number 4?
This is one of the babies, actually.
Yeah. So now let's go in and then we'll make a tour.
Yeah, I'd love to show you the majestic beauty of this place.
Okay.
There are so many things to see, and by having access through the air, it gives you a much better overview of the country, and you'll start to get some perspective and sense as to what Montenegro is all about.
Sure. So let's go.
Yeah, let's do
Deal?
it. Yes, let's do it.
I'm really happy that finally we made it.
Yeah.
We landed safely.
Yeah, we did.
Thank you.
And especially, I read all the instructions.
I need to admit, you're a bad pilot.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, you're here to tell the story. That's the important
I'm
thing.
here to look at the landscapes you have. It's really amazing. Everything we're witnessing, we're seeing, all those sceneries. The sea by itself, the color of the water is amazing, and the greenery and the healthy environment that we tend to think is the case. And I believe that. I did not see any manufacturer, I did not see any smoke going on from any manufactory. On the contrary, I saw that everything is preserved, and almost everything is preserved. Unless people are not eco-friendly. You need to tell us more about people living here, how they are and how they treat nature and how they behave in nature.
Yeah, the people who have a great respect for their own country, they know that they're living somewhere really, really beautiful. They even have a minister of tourism and sustainable development here. So the eye is very much on the environment and a sustainable future, sustainable existence going forward. And I think that's the key. Sustainability is one of the things that's very close to my heart. One of those things that I try and accomplish in everything that I do. I have kind of a sustainability audit.
But however, this is an area that is booming and it is flourishing. Many investments, people are coming from all over the world, mainly from Russia, to invest. You see advancement in everything. You see constructions all over. You see hotels. springing up in different parts, in different zones. Wherever we have a touristic hub, we tend to think that nature is going to be polluted. People are going to be polluted. Do you see that? Do you fear that Montenegro won't be the same?
Well, the starting point is that this is a very small country with just over 600,000, 630,000, I think was the last census in terms of the population. So relatively easy to manage. Geographically, not a vast distance, a small population, and they are very conscious of this environmental impact of overdevelopment and the like. In fact, there's been a lot of remedial work going on since the old Yugoslav times. You know, Porto Montenegro was an old naval shipyard, which was a mess, to be quite honest. And the foreign investment played an active role in remediating that entire area and bringing it back to its pristine condition.
Since you've raised the issue of a small country, let's take as a parallel example Lebanon, which is your native country. It's a very small country, 10,000 square kilometers, and look how it is today. It has been badly managed, and now we're living all the consequences of this mismanagement in Lebanon on the different levels. I don't want to develop on that point, but however, do you fear that Montenegro, that small country, that small oasis, that small haven of peace, who are different from all over the world, from different religions, live together, coexist together, might be ruined one of those days? It might have the same destiny as Lebanon, for instance?
I don't believe so. Firstly, it's not as densely populated as Lebanon. It doesn't have as many special interest groups as Lebanon. It doesn't have the neighbours and the ongoing problems, the long-standing problems that Lebanon has. Lebanon is a very unique case in the world. Montenegro is a small country. It reasserted its independence in 2006 and is very much on the ascension path to Europe, so the greater European community. Over the past years, they've been adapting all of the European laws in aviation, in the environment, in corporate laws and the like. And so they are on that ascension path, and there is a bigger organisation that is Europe overseeing and watching what Montenegro does. So on all accounts, it must behave itself. On all accounts, this country must comply to the bigger European picture. So it's not on its own. If you look around the region, if you look at what happened during the unfortunate Balkan War period, part of this European model is about stopping that ever happening again on European soil. And I think they've got the formula right. It's not without its issues. There are certainly issues, and it's certainly going to take time, but I think they're absolutely on the right path.
Romy Hawatt, a bad pilot you are. أنا مثل ما ذكرت بأول حلقة إنه أنت اكتشفت مونتينيغرو بالعام 1979، يعني منذ ما يقارب 40 سنة. سؤالي شو جابك لهون؟ كيف وصلت أنت على مونتينيغرو؟ هل أنت كنت عم تفتش عنها ولقيتها بالصدفة؟ كيف صارت الأمور؟
In 1979, late 78, early 79, I left Australia seeking out opportunity and career. I travelled to Asia, into the Middle East, and then on to Europe. And in Europe, I was able to save a little bit of money working on odd jobs around Europe. One was in a used car wrecking yard where I would dismantle cars in Germany for a short period of time, to earn some money to be able to travel. I bought myself an old BMW car that was registered and had no insurance, but that was my vehicle for exploring Europe. And I set about traveling around, literally sleeping in the car, backpacking, but with a car at hand, right across Europe. And I was particularly intrigued by Eastern Europe, because the Iron Curtain was still up, the Cold War was still on, and I found that with an Australian passport I could get access into these places. I came to Yugoslavia. I went to Zagreb. I'd done a little bit of research, and from my old school days was fascinated about the idea of coming to Dubrovnik. And in my travels I'd heard about Montenegro, because Montenegro was the playground for the rich and famous in the 50s, in the 50s and 60s. And so many famous people used to come here, Elizabeth Taylor and Sophia Loren and the like. And this was their place, and they were entertained by Tito at his private residences in Sveti Stefan and the like.
To which you've just paid a visit now in the report.
Yes, correct.
He was a big entertainer.
Yes, correct.
So you are. So I can understand, you know, this reputation of Montenegro as being a hub place for celebrities, as being a hub place for beautiful ladies. This is why you came here?
Well, as a teenager, it wasn't my motivation. I was just exploring. But I was really curious. So I drove from Zagreb to Dubrovnik. In those days it was 14 hours, I think, and then from Dubrovnik on to Montenegro, and was immediately struck by how beautiful, the natural beauty of the country. This was an old naval shipyard here in Porto, Montenegro, so this was a mess, really. So submarines and battleships, and you could not approach this particular area, but you could see the mountains, and I travelled around up to Titograd, which is Podgorica.
Still, you loved it.
And I still loved it, and I've always been fascinated and intrigued.
انشاءات، حروب، مستعمرات، هزات، انتصارات، اثنيات، نزاعات مسلحة، حروب البوسنة وصربيا وكرواتيا، يعني مونتينيغرو بقيت برغم من كل هالشيء واحد سلام. What really made you believe in it in spite of the nightmare that was going around?
The Balkans War was a very dark period. I stopped coming here. I was traveling intermittently into the Balkans, into the former Yugoslavia, pre-Balkans War, and then of course during the war nobody came here. But Montenegro held a type of neutral positioning, or a very neutral positioning in many ways, and became a place for a lot of the refugees that were fleeing the conflicts in the other countries, which kind of inspired me in terms of the philosophy of the place, the thinking of the place, the thinking of the government and the people at large. Even though Serbia was a major influencer in Montenegro, and it only became independent, reasserted its independence in 2006. So Montenegro was determined to pursue its own independent future. And for me, I saw opportunity in that. A country that was small, independent, who saw its future with Europe, and I believed in the story.
طبعا انت بتعرف طبيعة الارض هون اكثر من غيرك، بتعرف طبيعة الناس. نحن بنسمع عن مونتينيغرو بس عم نعرفها. انا اليوم اول مرة بيجي عم بكتشف هذا البلد. احكينا عن طبيعة الناس.
Yeah, the people are quite simple in their needs and their aspirations. It's a highly educated population. There are some very highly educated people here. The schooling system is reasonably good. It's antiquated in some areas, but it's reasonably good. But somehow there seems to be a good caliber of people that exists in the upper echelons, especially in Montenegrin society. More and more Montenegrins are travelling abroad and living in the broader world. They become expatriates, and of course all of these people contribute to the welfare of the country and the economy by being expatriates. Similar to the Lebanese. I mean, part of Lebanon's ability and success comes from its expatriate community, who live abroad, take on second citizenships and the like, and feed their home nation.
عندك قرى نموذجية، نفس الوقت عندك طبيعة جميلة جدا، خلابة جدا، لم تلوثها بعد الحروب ولم تلوثها يد الإنسان. Montenegro is your passion, and Monte Carlo is the example you set, and you want to make out of Montenegro another Monte Carlo. Do you think you will make it?
Well, I think Montenegro was kind of Monte Carlo in many ways before Monte Carlo was Monte Carlo. And then of course history took it in a different direction. I don't think it is a good parallel to have, or a benchmark to have Monte Carlo as the new Montenegro being the new Monte Carlo. I think Montenegro has its own flavour, its own appeal, and I think it's kind of, if you want to call it a Monte Carlo with a natural twist. This is all about nature. This is all about a clean environment. This is a very low pretense destination and location. You'll find a lot of the people that are attracted here are those people that are attracted to a natural environment and kind of an organic type existence. People that are concerned and think about their health and think about what they eat and think about a nice lifestyle. These are the people attracted here. I think there are a different type and different ilk that are attracted to the south of France and places like Monte Carlo.
إن لم تستطع الطيران فاجري، وإن لم تستطع أن تجري فامشي، وإن لم تستطع أن تمشي فازحف. المهم ألا تبقى مكانك. فاصل أخير.
Regent Ports of Montenegro opened in 2014 as part of the development here in Ports of Montenegro. The Tower of Regent is to speak without hearing, and we are really looking well after our guests here in this beautiful country. I arrived here 7 weeks ago. I'm very new to the country. One of the very first men I met was Romy, and with his captivating personality, he told me all about what he's been doing, and I can really say chapeau. I take my hat off to what he's been doing for the country. Very supportive. I'm very honored to know Romy, and would consider him a personal friend only after 7 weeks, yes.
القسم الأخير من حواري مع رومي حواط. ريانا جروب هو اسم المجموعة يلي ترأسها. هذه المجموعة أنت بتشغل منصب الرئيس التنفيذي لها، وهي متنوعة الآفاق ومتشعبة الاختصاصات. بدي أطلب منك تخبرني أكثر عن هذه المجموعة.
So the Rihanna Group is my holding company. The name came about by naming the family farm. It's a combination of the names of, or letters from all the names of myself, my wife, my 3 children. First, second, third, fourth and fifth letters of each of our names comes together as Rihanna. But it's also the name of the yacht. When I acquired this yacht several years ago, I changed its name to Rihanna.
هل صحيح أنك وقعت في حب هذا اليخت وتشفته قابع هون في بورتو مونتينيغرو واشتريته وأنفقت ثروة 2.5 يورو لترميم هذا اليخت وجعله جوهرة كما هو اليوم؟
Yes, well actually I've spent close to 3.5 million after purchasing it to undertake a whole bunch of refit work to it and basically turn it into something that really reflects what I consider a nice, comfortable, environmentally friendly as you can get yacht. This is a very efficient boat. It's all LED lighting. The engines are very efficient, and we have a very low fuel burn for the type of the boat. And we spent a lot of time and energy upgrading the technical and electromechanical side of the boat to make it as environmentally friendly as we possibly can, as well as fitting it out internally and externally.
مين هن ركاب هذا اليخت؟ مين بتستقبل أنت على هذا اليخت؟
I've had many interesting guests on this yacht, and they've ranged from presidents and prime ministers and movie stars and actors, musicians, and the like.
Mm-hmm.
Members of royalty.
So only VIPs?
Oh no, many and many friends. People tend to be interested in the VIPs, but many friends have jumped on and off sailing over the years that I've owned it. Last year, I think we did about 10,000 nautical miles sailing during the last season. So we had a lot of nice times with family and friends jumping on and off.
You know, this is the first time I hear you talking about family. This word is not frequently dwelled upon. You usually talk business all the time, investment, development, advancement, cruising, sailing, hiking, but scarcely talking about the family. ليش بتفصل؟ هل هالشي بيحصل بطريقة عفوية أم عن قصد؟
Yeah, I think what happens is on the pathway to success, in whatever shape or form that happens to mean for you, or takes on for you, family are sacrificed in many ways. You lose a lot of time in your professional life being away from family, and you rely on them to understand that you are away working for them and feeding into that bigger plan to
and they
support
did?
and protect. Yes,
They understood that?
Yes, absolutely.
Are they proud of you?
Yes, I think they're very proud. I think they see that they understand the history, where we've come from, where I've come from in particular, and where we are. And
What is
I
the
think
most
they're very
important
happy.
trait or predominant trait do you consider or do you think they are mostly proud of?
I think many people will see it's a rags to riches story. But I think the most important thing is that I haven't lost myself in that story. I think it's important to keep it real at all times. It's important to remain centered and understand and keep a handle on who you are, not to lose yourself. And I think my family recognize that I'm the same person.
Do you fear age? هل بتخاف من العمر؟
No, I think one needs to accept that they need to surrender gracefully the things of youth.
هل بتخاف على أحلامك؟ Do you fear to lose your dreams?
No, I'm living the dreams. I'm not living for a dream. I positively visualize, but every breath and every moment is a blessing for me. I'm happy for absolute living in the moment.
Is your life a dream by itself?
I think life is a dream. I think the world is an illusion. I think people spend their entire lives not knowing why they're here. I think it was Samuel Clemens who said that the two most important days of one's life, the day that they're born and the day that they work out why they're born. And for me, I kind of worked out why I was born a long time ago and pursued that pathway, recognized it, was comfortable with it and pursued it.
رومي حواط، أنت بتحب الموسيقى مثل ما أنا ذكرت بالبداية، أنت بتلعب جيتار صح أو لا؟
Kind of. I play the banjo, and off the banjo I play a little bit of guitar, but not so.
البانجو من وين يعني؟ البانجو طبعا جذوره أفريقية.
Origins are African,
Yeah.
but it metamorphosized into an American instrument in the south of America.
هل في علاقة بين البانجو وبين الابتسامة؟ ابتسامتك؟ Do you think there is a link between the banjo and your smile?
Well, it's a bright instrument, and I quite like it because it is a bright instrument.
طيب نحن بحاجة لحدا يجيب لنا الجيتار أو البانجو. بانجو please. Thank you, Sanya. Thank
Really,
you, thank
do I
you.
have to do this?
Yes, please do. This is, the pinnacle of the interview.
Yes, good that you
It's-
arranged this.
It's only because you're such a romantic that I'm going to do this, okay?
You are romantic as well. Come on.
So John Legend, all
we cannot be passionate without being romantic.
That's true. It's
John
true.
Legend, all of me.
I heard you singing it in the car today.
I forgot the
Ricardo,
lyrics.
So. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges. All your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me. Give my all to you. You're my end and beginning. Even when I give you
رومي حواط، سافرت وين ما كان بالعالم. عندك بيوت بدبي بلندن، بسيدني، بمونتينيغرو. عندك يخت بياخدك بتبحر على متنه من منطقة إلى منطقة أخرى. عندك طيارة خاصة بتسافر فيها من مكان إلى آخر. اكتشفت حضارات مختلفة، تواصلت مع أشخاص من ثقافات مختلفة، تكاملت معهم، تعرفت على أصناف من البشر. في ناس طبعا خذلوك، وفي ناس بالعكس فاجأوك بطريقة إيجابية. هل اليوم بعد كل هذه السنوات من العمل المضني اكتشفت السعادة الحقيقية؟
Yes, I'm genuinely happy. I'm genuinely content. And it wasn't a discovery. It's something that I've always felt. I've had an innate feeling that things would always work out. And I had an innate sense that by continuing to persist with doing the right thing, and I mean things with integrity, being consistent, not being afraid of hard work and the like, things would in effect work out. And alhamdulillah, they have worked out.
دايما الحمد لله.
دائما.
وأنا بدي أطلب منك أنك توقع اللقاء باللغة العربية. طبعا الناس اليوم اكتشفوك، استمعوا لك لأول مرة على التلفزيون، ودايما بأول لقاء الناس بيقيموا، يا بيحبوك يا ما بيحبوك. لكن أكيد بنهاية مطلق أي حوار الناس بياخدوا منه الزبدة. شو بتحب أنت بعد ما هلأ نودع المشاهدين يقولوا عنك؟
I think for my part, I would like to be remembered as someone that genuinely looked to leave the world in a better place, in a better way than I found it, leaving the world a better place than I found it. I've worked hard towards supporting the youth where I can, mentoring the environment. I'm part of the Global Sustainability Network. In fact, I'm a founding member of the Global Sustainability Network. We're pursuing Goal 8 of the United Nations 17 Sustainability Goals. We are fighting modern-day slavery, human trafficking, the abuse of women and children in the workplace. We're working hard for fair and equal employment. We're working hard to preserve the environment. And all of those things are kind of hallmarks of what I think I would like to be remembered for. Nothing else. None of the material stuff matters. Everything is transitory. It's nice to have the toys, but one should not self-identify with those things. These are just fun things that come as a consequence, as I said, of getting it right. But they don't mean anything in the final analysis.
رومي حوات، أنا بتشكرك حقيقة على هذا الحوار المختلف اللي ما بيشبه غيره. أنا سعدت أني اكتشفت مونتينيغرو من خلالك، اكتشفت هذه البقعة الخلابة الجميلة، وأكيد رح يكون في لنا موعد آخر هنا. بحب أذكر المشاهدين إلى أنه فيلم كازينو رويال جيمس بوند مع دانيال كريغ مثلوا هنا وفي البيت يلي زرناه اليوم، في بيت تيتو.
أهلا وسهلا بكل الجميع. To Montenegro. It's a very welcoming place, and I would recommend anybody that has the time and wherewithal to come and visit this beautiful country.
أصدقائي المشاهدين، يوزن المرء بقوله ويقيم بأعماله. سمعنا ورأينا. الأسبوع المقبل يبدأ شهر رمضان المبارك. بتمنى لكم صيام مبارك ونلتقي قريبا.